What is up and welcome back. So today we're going to be continue working on our project. We're going to be actually removing the cams. What we need to do is we have to remove the chain along with the sprockets. We have to loosen the tensioner first. So let's go ahead and start dismounting that stuff. But first, what you want to do is you want to mark your sprockets and your chain with like a Sharpie, just so you have an idea when you put it back together that's how it lined up when you took it off. So let's start taking the chain apart, and then we're gonna move on to the sprockets. So now we have our sprockets and chain off. I want to mention that you want to place some kind of weight on the chain, like a C-clamp, and just kind of pull it to the side so that it doesn't slop, because there's a sprocket on the bottom, so there's always some tension on it. So this is how it looks with the sprockets off. I place a rack here just in case, you never know, you don't want to drop anything in there. But let's take a look at the sprocket. So this is the intake side, and this is the exhaust side. Those are all the components. Now what I notice is these are the upgraded cam bolts, which I did upgrade it when the car had about 70,000 on it, and right now has 149. So all this abuse, about 20,000 miles in track miles alone, and they are holding up pretty damn good. So BMW did their thing when they upgraded these bolts. These holding up pretty damn good. I'm going to replace them with new ones, might as well. They're not that expensive. Set of I think the whole set costs about 12 bucks or so. So now we could start taking off the cams. I'm also notice how the caps have this sludge or this oil stains on them. What I did is I put some simple green in a bucket along with some hot water. I'm gonna soak all these parts in it. That way the oil, the sludge or the oil will nicely come off and all clean off, and these caps will look like brand new. I got this car when it had about 60,000 miles, if I remember correctly, and the first time I opened it up, it already looked like that. I've been changing oil every about 4,000 to 5,000 miles. It still did not help. So I know there's engines out there that look much cleaner than this, but hey, there's nothing I could have done in regards to that. Like I said, it was already like that when I got it. Been changing oil regularly on short intervals. It still did not help. So but I'm gonna clean some of that varnish off with the simple green, because that's a good oil degreaser. So now let's talk about how we're gonna take off. We're gonna take off the intake cam first. So like I mentioned before, reason why it's important that the engine at the top dead center is because in this position, if you look at the lobes, almost every cylinder, the lobes are either pointing to the side. They're not putting pressure on the valve springs. There's only one valve that is compressed, which is cylinder number 3. As you could see right there, the valve is compressed. So how you want to take this cam out safely is you want to take off all the caps except cylinder 3, because that's the only cylinder that has pressure on the springs. So what I'm gonna do is start taking off each cap along with this bridge over here, and then once I'm done with the caps, then we're gonna focus on cylinder number 3, and we're gonna start loosening it about quarter of a turn from side to side, and slowly relieve the pressure from the cam, so it does not break or cause any damage while decompressing. So you have to take your time and be very careful. You're gonna be releasing the tension from the caps, so the lobes might want to move, so you might want to put your wrench here and hold them in place. So now we have all the caps off. Every single cap is off except the cylinder number 3. So this is a very crucial moment right here. We're gonna be loosening these last cap, which is the cap that has the pressure on it, because lobe number from cylinder 3 is pressing down on the springs. So we want to start from the longer stud, the stud closer to the wall. You want to do quarter turn increments, quarter here, quarter here. You want to interchange. So now lobe might want to shift on you, so you might want to have your wrench or somebody holding it down here. You don't want to be pressing on it, but you just want to make sure that it does not move. Got the cam off, the intake is done. So as you saw in the time lapse, you gotta go you gotta interchange frequently, so there's the pressure relieves pretty evenly after the third cylinder. And once it's done, then you could just lift off the cap and lift off the cam. So everything went smoothly. So let's do the exhaust side now. But with the exhaust side, it's not a cylinder number 3. At top dead center, that's actually cylinder number 2. That is in the same position as cylinder number as on the intake side, which is cylinder 3. So cylinder 2. So you have to loosen up every other cap before, and then do cylinder number 2 at the end for the exhaust side. Alright, so we have our exhaust cam out as well. I want to show you something interesting. While I was taking the caps off, I was putting them in the buckets. I diluted some simple green along with some boiling water, and check this out. This is 20 minutes of soaking. Look at the bridge. Look how clean it is already. See, this is a good time to clean the valve train, whatever you can. If you remember, it was all varnished. These are the retainers. Look how clean they are already. Let me show you one of the caps. So I'm gonna let it soak for another. I put the cam gears as well in there. What else? All the bolts. These are the caps. Look how clean they are already. So yeah, we're getting there, you know, slowly but surely. So now we have the cams on the table. These are the ones that were taken out, and these are the CatCams, the upgraded 280/272 lift cams. So there are a few things that we need to transfer over from the existing cams, which are these wheels at the end, they both have to be transferred, and there's a pressure relief valve that needs to be transferred as well, which I'm about to show you as well. Now let me give you some background about these are actually billet version of CatCams. I know they offer cast and billet. I was lucky to get a set of the billet ones, so they say they're more precise and a little bit stronger than the cast versions, so very happy about that. So without further ado, let's start transferring over these wheels at the end. To remove these end wheels, what you could do is you could either have somebody help you, or if you have no help, you could use an impact gun. It's a 10mm hex. You could stick it in there, lift it. I placed a little bubble wrap below, so there's no the cam is not touching any hard surfaces. And you put it in reverse and just give it a quick shock, and that bolt should come loose like so. See, came right out. You didn't take much force, but it's very hard if you use a wrench, because you have to put a 24mm wrench on this end over here, and it's very hard to rotate. So impact works good on this stuff. All you do is take it out like so. While in the middle of this procedure, you also want, it's a good time to replace your chain tensioner guide, as these are known to basically disintegrate over time. And as you could tell, this is a new one and this is an old one. I already took it out. It's very simple. It's held by this, I think it's what is this? This is a 10mm hex as well. You take it out and it just comes out. As you could see, look at the end of it. That's where it usually disintegrates. Look, it's missing the whole back bone, so to speak. It's kind of crazy. So, and I already changed this once. I changed it when the car had about 70,000 on it, and it's 149 right now. So so about 80,000, and you will need to change it again. So these don't last that long. I mean, 70,000 is not short, but it's not long either. So yeah, and thanks to FCP Euro, this part is now basically covered under the warranty, as I initially bought this at FCP Euro. So we have our new CatCams on the table. You want to install the impulse ascending wheels. The wheel with the space over here, you'll notice they're different, is the one for the exhaust side. CatCams themselves are labeled, it says right here, exhaust inlet, and there's an intake inlet. It's engraved here, so you could tell the difference. So let's just put them on and torque them down to 37 foot-pounds with a torque wrench. And there it is, all torqued down. I used a little technique, what you saw in the video. I placed the wrench on this end, hold it on the opposite side, and I torqued it with a torque wrench on this end. I placed a bubble wrap below, so so the cam does not get damaged. None of the lobes touch any of the hard surfaces. So now what we have to do is install these valves I've been talking about. Depending on the year of your M3, these are installed inside this hole right here. Now what I said is the reason why I say depending on the year is because they actually, BMW changed the design, and the cars, apparently the cars that were produced after 2004 no longer have these valves. They're basically, that hole in there is just blocked off. It's just like a casting that is just, it's plugged up, so they don't have these valves. Now that might not be a problem, you might think, But actually it actually is. Reason being is these, if you look at the real OEM website, they are not listed to be sold separately without the cams. And this is the exact situation I found myself in. I looked in here, I'm like, where are these valves? And I did some research, and come to find out they don't, the newer cars did not have these valves. These valves are 4.5 bar valves. What that means is when the oil pressure reaches about 65 psi, these actually open up and release oil onto the other side. But actually, upon my research, I actually was able to find a part number from an E46 M3 that uses these valves. This valve is used in that engine as well, and for that engine, you could buy these separately. So I'm going to list the part number for these below. So if anyone needs them, you could buy them from BMW brand new. One disclaimer I gotta say is they're very expensive. One of these costs about $80, which is a lot for small valve like that. So 160 bucks for two of them. I was lucky enough, thanks to one of the forums, one member had these and he was able to sell me those. So if you have a newer M3, one produced after 2004, make sure you get a set of these before you install, because otherwise you won't be able to finish your install. These are actually installed, like I mentioned, in this hole right here. So you just drop in there like so, take a screwdriver, and basically you don't have to over torque them or anything like that, just nice and tight, and that will do it. So here's the hardware for the installation. Now check this out, how this came out. Look how clean these look now, and all it took was some soaking in simple green with some hot water. I'm amazed at the results. I mean, the valve frame gonna look much nicer now. So we're gonna be using this assembly lube. We're gonna lube all the surfaces for the caps, and we're gonna proceed with the installation of the intake cam first. We have our intake camshaft, and now we gotta orient it in the way that we took it out, which means we have to point it. The cylinder 1 lobes have to point at 40-degree angle. Cylinder number 3 have to point down. These are the lobes that are the only lobes that are pressing down. As you can see, all the other ones are turned sideways or up. They're not compressing any other valves. So we have to insert it like so. You could tell I also lube them, all the mating surfaces, and I'm just gonna rest it for now. And then we gotta get our cap. Our caps are marked. Intake side, they're marked with a letter E, and they go back on an upside down order if you look from this side. Now cylinder number 3 is actually marked E4 because the first cylinder is E2, second is E3, and third is E4. So you make sure that you don't confuse that, because cylinder 3 is not E3, it's actually E4. So you want to point the camshaft in a 40-degree angle on the cylinder number 1, and you want to put that over the cap, over the cylinder number 3, and start torquing slowly, quarter turn increments up until you reach 10.5 foot-pounds of torque on that on cylinder number 3. and then you could start torquing the rest. So cylinder number 3, the cap is fully tightened, and the camshaft is seated. As you saw me in a time lapse, I took the wrench and I held it so it doesn't move, because it will want to move on you. So for the first few turns, you want to hold it and then tighten it down by about quarter turn increments. You want to, the longer stud, you want to hand thread it first until you have some resistance, and then you start evenly interchanging between the two studs, and until they evenly come down, and that will make the camshaft seat itself. And you tighten it down to 10.5 foot-pounds with your torque wrench, and that is it for this cap. So now on this side, what we need to do is just install all these other caps and torque them with the same spec. And we want to lube the lobes either with oil or the assembly lube, whichever you have handy. And that will complete the intake side installation, and we'll move on to the exhaust side. So it wasn't too bad. To install the exhaust cam. Notice I didn't put the bridge on, because in order to install exhaust cam we need the bridge still off, so that will be installed last. Now remember, on exhaust cam, cylinder number 2 is only pointing down, and cylinder number 1 lobes are at 40-degree angle. And this is the timing bridge hole. As you could see, this should be pointing up as well. That's one reference point you could use. Now you could rest it, and we get your cap. So the cap for cylinder number 2 is marked with a letter A. So notice when I pressed the cap, it actually, the lobes kind of went down, which is okay, because it's these lobes went back. Reason being, and when I pressed it, they went down, because in order for me to get enough threads to get on the shorter bolt, like so I could get it started. And the longer bolt, you want to tighten it all the way down. Now what we're gonna do is, once I start tightening these, I'm gonna take the wrench and I'm gonna bring it back up once I get start tightening quarter turns down. Have the intake and exhaust camshafts installed. All we have to do is install the thrust bridge over here, and that will complete installation, but look at that. I mean, all valve train looks much cleaner with all the caps cleaned, and makes you even feel better, tell you the truth. So we're gonna install the bridge here now, and we're gonna move on to installing the Vanos unit, and we'll take it from there. And notice I also lubed all the lobes, so there's has nice lubricated surface upon startup.